Today, we're talking with Hugh and Joy, and Hugh and Joy are a husband and wife duo who travel the world. They have a really, really cool story, and they're just really nice people.
They're so sweet.
They are some of the nicest people we've had on the podcast, I think. Like, we've never talked to them before this episode, but instantly I was like, I want to hang out with you guys. Yeah. And we get to soon, actually. We're both speaking at TravelCon in a few weeks. But they are full of information about traveling. We talk with them about a lot of things, but we start by talking about their background. They both were born in Africa and lived part of their lives there, and that has influenced some of their travels. And now they travel all around the world. They share content across their blog and Instagram, and they're just a really cool couple, and they share some advice that I don't think anybody else has really shared on the podcast yet, that I think if anybody's interested in creating content or working for themselves on the road, need to hear this information.
Yeah, they definitely do. But before we get into the conversation, I'm Chris.
I'm Sarah.
And this is What No One Tells You. We're a travel podcast, or we're travel vloggers. We travel, and we make a lot of content, and Kramer is jumping on the table right now. So if you're watching our video, this is our life. Yes. So...
All right.
Hey, if you like Kramer, leave a review. Just say, go K-Man, go K-Dog, right? Yeah, leave a review on iTunes. That would be so helpful for for creators like us. Kramer, he's begging you. He's begging you to help us. So we're getting a photo right now. Kramer. Yeah, Kramer. What's that? All right.
Can't get anything done with this dog.
Look, without further ado, let's just jump into the conversation. Joy and Hugh, we're so thankful that you're here. All right, before we really get into this nitty gritty conversation about travel and who knows what else, I really want to know who you guys are. So if you can tell me your name, tell me where you're from, tell me what you hope to be when you grow up, all of that good stuff. Let's just go. Yeah.
Sarah starting?
No, go ahead. Ladies first.
Sure. So yeah, my name is Joy. I was actually born in Kenya, and I came to the States for school. And slowly, the rest of the family started moving here as well. So now our whole family is here. So as far as travel, what drew me to travel is when I was little, I loved to read. Actually, my dad had me read 3 books a week. And I would have to write a report. and yeah, so when I would read, I would just be so fascinated by all the places that were described in the books. And I remember telling myself that, one day I'm gonna see these places from in person. So I would read about castles, and Hawaii was big on that as well, and all these different places. And I think that's one of the key factors that fueled my love for travel, even before I had a chance to travel. Fun fact, prior to me getting on the plane to come here for college, I hadn't ever been on a plane before.
Wow.
So it was my first big trip coming to the States.
How brave.
So, I came to school, came to Dallas. I went to TCU, which is a big football school here in Texas. And another fun fact, what I studied is really not what I'm doing now. So I got an undergrad degree in nursing, so I practiced nursing for a little bit. And because of my empathetic nature, I got burned out mentally just because I would take on my patients' issues as my own. So I had to step away from that, and I decided to go to grad school, and I got a master's in business, as well as a master's in nursing management. So I did that. And then I think after a while, I got tired of flying the corporate cape, because there's something about having to ask for time off from work to go and live life that just didn't sit well with me. I just didn't like the feeling of, oh gosh, I have so many places I would like to explore, but I have to ask for permission from this job. Yeah. So those are some of the key factors that drove me out of corporate and onto the travel path full time. So in a nutshell, that's a little bit about me and my story.
That's amazing. Yep. I want to talk about so many things there. Yep. And then Hugh, what's your background?
So Joy's story is much better than mine. So, born in Nigeria, moved over to the States when I was very young. While in Nigeria, I was always into traveling. Um, After we moved here to the States, um, my family and we did some family, like vacations here and there, but not as much. But traveling was certainly something that I wanted to get into because I've always been an adventurous person. I love exploring new areas. Certainly was an avid athlete. Um, Once I decided, hey, you know what? Yeah, I'm not gonna make it to the NFL or the NBA. I decided, hey, you know what? I need to go to college, right? So I had to figure that out. So attended UNT for my undergrad. Joy has a lot of vector points that I would say is within her story that's very similar to mine. So, for example, what we're doing right now is totally different from what we pursued, right? So, undergrad wise, I pursued forensic science.
Wow.
So, interesting thing there is that after graduating, or right before I graduated, I interned at a forensic ballistic firearms and tool marks lab. I figured out, hey, you know what? This is not for me.
Not what you
Not
want to do.
Yeah, but luckily at the time, while in college, I was actually working. So I was working. I was in banking. So I decided, hey, you know what? I'll just move up the ranks within banking. And after a couple of years, I decided to pursue my MBA as well. Got my MBA. And then through time, I just knew that, hey, you know what? I just can't keep going to an office and begging for time off, So, back then, there was no such, I think the concept of remote work existed, but in certain pockets of industries, right? Mm-hmm. It wasn't as prevalent as it is, as it is now, but it really became very popular like in 2020 during COVID. Mm-hmm. So, essentially, that's my story. It's not as decorated as Joy's, right? But ultimately, I've always been an explorer. I've always wanted to travel the world. There's just something about going to a different country or just going to a different state or a different city, right? To meet new people, see how people are living. Because for me, it triggers new forms of thinking. I just out of nowhere, I'm an idea machine, so out of nowhere I get new ideas about different things that I want to solve for, if it's internal or external, as well as having more appreciation for the culture, a different culture, right? So
that.
That's it.
That's amazing.
You guys both have really cool stories. I didn't know you were both born in Nigeria and Kenya. That's amazing. I mean, we've never been to Africa, so I want to dive into that already, but they're like way smarter than, we're like, hey, we make pretty websites, or like we know how to do like, marketing, nurse. You guys are very impressive. I'm feeling a little intimidated now.
So all right. So just to connect the dots really quick before we go on, like both of you have quit your jobs or your like the professions that you went to school for, right? And like, what are you doing now?
Content creation. I still have an active RN license, so I do some consultancy stuff here and there. But for the most part, we just travel, monetize the brand through different ways, which is say brand partnerships, affiliate partnerships, ads on the website. Content creation that you see for brands, so different ways. It's like a multi-stream effort here.
Yeah, we get it.
Yeah. Very cool. All right.
What?
You go ahead. Like she's chomping at the bit right now. She's just like.
I end up asking like most of the questions because I get so curious about things. But you guys, like, okay, can we start with Africa? Is that okay that we dig into Africa a little bit? Have you guys been back?
But hold on.
Yeah.
So question. Yeah. Question. What's you guys your background?
They're in the interview.
You know what? You're the first person to ever interview us on this. Like you'd be like, our background. We'll give you the lowdown really quick.
Yeah.
Like, so both of us.
Next version.
Yeah. We both of us are freelancers, or we've been freelancers for a while, like doing like websites, marketing. Basically, if you have money, we'll do something. You know,
pretty much anything digital. He's owned his own businesses before we even met, and then when we got married, we joined forces.
yeah.
So yeah, mostly web design, that kind of stuff. And then we started the whole YouTube thing when we started van life like 5 years ago. And so YouTube's still not our full-time thing. Content creation's not. It's probably like 40% of our income now, so it's growing.
It's growing.
Yeah, it's definitely at the place like something's gonna have to give soon because it's like we are stretched thin.
It's too like we're doing too much, but like but yeah, that's us in a nutshell. We started doing the YouTube, but our work has always been nomadic. But it took Sarah in my life to be like, you could work anywhere, right? Like I didn't have to be somewhere because all of my clients were all over the country, so it's just like it didn't matter.
Yeah.
As long as I have internet.
Right.
And but yeah, so that's
exactly
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we just travel now. We're doing the Pan American Highway. So we're in Mexico now.
Right, so
yeah, we're really excited.
Yeah.
It's getting a little warm in here right now. Everybody keeps telling us like you guys are heading the wrong direction. It's hot where you're going.
Yeah,
so
I'm like we know.
We know.
No
AC in our truck either.
I like it.
I love that.
So
I like it. Yeah, it adds flavor to the conversation. I like it.
That's a little drama to
amazing.
the videos.
Right.
We'll be thinking differently maybe when it's 105 degrees next week, but for now it's fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what we're up to, and then we'll be home every once in a while for things like TravelCon. So we're flying home in a couple weeks, but yeah, that's us.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me go. Okay, can I just well, actually, first, can I ask how you guys met?
So back when we still worked in the corporate space, we happened to work in the same office building, and I kept seeing this guy and like randomly run into him near the elevator or in the office hallways, and I would never say hi. So one day, I think he decided to say something. Like, I keep seeing this lady person. Let me see. So he said hi, and then after that, I think there's one time that he actually asked for my last name while we were in the elevator, so that he could look me up and.
Skype.
I think we used Skype.
Yeah, we were using Skype at the time. So then we started chatting on Skype, and then moved to phone numbers, and then and then one time we actually met up in person, and then the rest is history. So and it was random, right? When we actually met up in person.
Yeah.
Because I think that day there was some type of event at a wine bar, and I wasn't gonna go. Like, I really wasn't gonna go, but I had nothing left. I had nothing to do, And something at the back of my mind just said, "Hey, go! You have nothing to do. Don't just stay in your apartment. Get out there, So yeah, as Joy said, for some time, I would see Joy, and so fun fact, right? There was this one time. Okay, I'll give you 2 mini stories, right? There was this one time. The first time I saw her, I walked into the elevator and she was there, and a group of people were there, right? And I said hi to her only. And I could just tell everybody within the elevator, because again, this is a corporate space, right? Everybody within the elevator, they were just thinking, so what is this guy doing? Like, what is he trying to do? So I said, hi, how's it going? I'm okay. And I knew I had 10 seconds to try to ask her for either her number or her full name.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, so what's your name? She's like, oh, I'm Joy. And she's like, hey, what's your name? I'm Hugh. And then you hear the elevator sound, the door opens up, and she's like, okay, I gotta head out. Take care. And she leaves. And I stay to myself, man, okay, I gotta try to find this chick, right?
Yeah.
So I go into our instant messaging system back then, which was Skype. And of course, type in Joy. There's a ton of Joys, right? So I told myself, okay, all right, I'm gonna try to run into her again. And you know what? The next time I run into her, even if there are a ton of people in the elevator, I'm gonna at least get her last name. If I can't get her phone number, I'll get her last name. So I'm thinking about a couple of months went by, right? And then this random day, I think I just got out of lunch or got out of a meeting, and I'm going back upstairs to my office, and I just walk into the elevator and I see her, and I'm like, oh, okay, here's my shot. Here's my shot, right? So then everyone's there, and it was a packed elevator, and I was in the mindset of top chair, man. I get in there, I start talking to her, right? And of course, I mean, elevator's jam packed. Everyone's like next to each other, like this. So I could just, when someone's looking at you, you could just feel the heat
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the person's eyes. I felt like about 20 pairs of eyes just looking at me. And then I asked him, right? And again, because within the elevator, I guess it's like an elevator pitch, right? So, I asked her within 10 seconds, I was like, hey, what's your last name? I was trying to connect with you, right? And I think at that moment, everyone knew what I was
Yeah.
saying. There's no way ever talks to it.
They were on to you. Yeah.
So, yeah. So she told me her last name. And here's the deal. I'm not good with names, right? I'm not good with names. So, once she told me her last name, right? I started repeating her last name the whole time until I got to my office. So I would remember. So I kept on repeating it. Like she gets out and I get out and I'm walking to my office. I kept on repeating it. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to look her up. Get to my office, sit down. I'm like, oh my goodness, what's her last name?
Oh my god.
But luckily enough, I remembered it. And I was able to ping her, and then the rest was history there. But when we met at the wine bar, just to bring it full circle, I wasn't really planning on going, and we never even talked about it, right? So I just went there just to get out of the apartment, and while I'm there, kind of just glass of wine, just relaxed, just chilling, and she walks up to me. I was like, oh, snap. I guess it's meant to be.
Yes.
I guess it's meant to be. Yeah. So that's the story.
Oh, very cool.
And now you guys are married. You work together. Like everything.
Nice.
Like,
Travel the world together.
yeah, you travel the world together. Yeah.
Travel the world together. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Flying at the hip now at this point.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh man. Okay, I want to dive into some of y'all's travels. So, how should we start it? Because I feel like me?
Yeah.
Okay.
She's
Okay, tell me about.
You had a question.
So you're both
And
from
if-
Africa originally, Kenya and Nigeria. Is that correct? Okay.
Yeah.
So how has where you originated? How does that affect your travels now? And have you guys been back to Africa since?
Yeah, sure. So we've been back to Africa, but so we've been to Kenya, which is her home, right? But we haven't been to Nigeria yet because Nigeria is pretty crazy. But we're planning to visit Nigeria at some point. But yeah, as far as the African countries that we visited, Kenya, Rwanda, Zanzibar. What else?
I've been to a bit more than.
Well, she's been to more, but as far as where I've been to with her, that'd be it. Can't think of anywhere else. I think that's pretty much it. You want to add something to that?
Yeah. So as far as being African and traveling, I'll just say like the whole concept of leaving your home country to start life over in another country, like that was our story, right? Like I grew up in I did kindergarten, elementary, high school in Kenya, and then came here and started over. It changes how you view the world because I always say that I look at how I view the world might be very different from maybe someone who grew up in one country and lived in one country like their whole life.
Absolutely.
It's I'm very in tune to things that maybe people might not notice, like culturally, just things like that. It changes how I view the world and how I approach traveling. So I'm always particularly interested in the culture of the different places that we travel to, even within the states, like even within Texas. Like we just came back from Austin, and I was just like, this is very different. This is very different from Dallas.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, like I think on little cues that that I am very fascinated with, just different ways people approach life in different places. So I think that's shaped how I view travel. And as far as the African countries I've been to, of course, Kenya, I've been back several times. I still have family in Kenya. I've been to Ghana, we've been to Rwanda together, Tanzania together. We're working on more countries. Unfortunately, it's extremely difficult to travel within the African continent just because there are a lot of visa regulations and sometimes it's even more expensive to travel within the continent. Like if when we were in Kenya, I tried to search for tickets to like Seychelles or Mauritius, and it was more expensive than a ticket back to the States.
Really?
So, yeah.
That's surprising.
So,
oh my gosh.
yeah, I know. So, there's so much to see, and we really, our goal is really to showcase Africa as a destination of choice for, because most people think, I want to go like summer vacation, I want to go to like Santorini or which and those are all amazing places. Don't get me wrong, but we're just trying to open people's eyes to additional options that are out there, a different form of travel. Because travel in Africa is, oh my goodness, it's surreal. Like when we went on safari the last time we were in Kenya, and that was life changing. Just being that close to animals in their natural habitat as opposed to going to a zoo. So, and then the beaches are
pristine.
Yeah.
Pristine.
So
Best beaches.
yeah, so our goal is really just to show people. I think that's one of our missions is to discovering the hidden gems or places that people may not necessarily consider at first thought as a travel destination. Like show them that, you know what, this is some place that you can consider going and this is why.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, Africa, like I said, neither one of us have been anywhere in Africa, but it's always been intriguing to me. I mean, like the whole safari, but then I have seen you guys posting things about, I mean, just this different side of Africa that maybe I didn't realize existed. I mean, there's a couple other creators recently I've been following that, you know, they're talking a lot about like Rwanda. Like Rwanda is just like this quickly developing country and it's like this destination for cyclists and everything. And I mean, what?
It is.
How am I trying to get to my question here?
There's a cup. You know, we actually have a truckload of African content coming up in the summer, so stay tuned.
Yeah,
there's definitely more. So, I mean, it's known for, I think if you ask people about like travel in Africa, for most people, the first thought that will come to mind is safari, right? Yeah. Which is awesome, but there's so much more, and there's so much more to discover in Africa from a travel perspective.
Yeah, no,
it's continental.
Is Africa sort of your favorite to return to, like your favorite destination? Do you have a favorite destination, or what is your biggest niche in travel?
I think I'm biased, but just being African, I think I'm always just going to be drawn to like traveling in Africa, and it's different going back as an
adult, right?
Yeah, as an adult, and then also once you've lived away from. Let me just speak for myself specifically. I've lived away from Kenya for a while now. Yes, I go back to visit, but every time I go back, I realize just how much I've changed. But it's always great to go back and view my home country through the eyes of a tourist. I just discover all these places because kind of like even living here in Dallas, there are places that people from out of town would come and it was like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. But we're just like, it's okay.
Yeah.
Right.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But going back and just viewing everything that Kenya has to offer from the eyes of a tourist and just being so fascinated by it all. I think
it does something to you.
It does something to you.
Yeah, because what you touched on earlier, I didn't even share, my aspect of it. It's, being born in a different country and being there for X amount of years and then moving to another country and growing up and maturing in a different country and then traversing back and forth, it gives you a really strong appreciation of life, right? On multiple levels. And one that I'll touch on is really on a cultural level because, because Africa is a huge continent of so many different cultures. A lot of people aren't aware of that, right? And then you come to the States, and the state is also a melting pot, right, of all these different cultures. Because you can be in Dallas, right, and you can experience so many different cultures, and then you can go to Houston or Austin, and you experience so many different cultures as well. So yeah, just thinking about that and bringing it full circle, it's you give it you get a strong level of appreciation of the culture. Ultimately, there are opportunities, right? Political barriers and so forth, especially when it comes to travel. But ultimately, when it comes to traveling, for me, man, I would say the destination would be Zanzibar.
Really?
Really?
Zanzibar. Okay.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
I'm telling you,
Really?
I like Zanzibar. Zanzibar is it.
Okay.
Yeah,
It's the best beach on the planet.
Shameless plug. We have content coming up.
Okay.
But Zanzibar-
Yes. I will be watching.
Yeah.
Oh,
Africa,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, what you said is like exactly what I've heard of just like it's so varied. Like you're right, the U.S. is a melting pot, but I mean, just you look at like Morocco to South Africa or Kenya to Sudan. I mean, like there's just so much variety, and one of our biggest dreams is to drive across Africa, like sort of do like what we're doing now in the Pan American, but start
Yeah.
at the south and kind of work our way through some of the countries. Maybe not all of it, but
Wow.
parts of it I think would be
yeah.
incredible.
I really.
That would be correct.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna need
That would be
AC for
fun.
that
Yeah.
one though. I
Oh
think.
yeah, we're gonna.
I think
need
my breaking
Oh,
point.
Oh yeah,
is,
yeah.
I could do the Pan American without AC,
and
but
mosquito
Africa's a
repellent.
no. I'm getting AC.
Yeah, they're definitely gonna need AC and mosquito
Mosquito
repellent,
repellent.
Yeah,
right?
yes.
And sunscreen, right?
We fry. I mean, look at us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting about your content. Like you make it very like you're very specific about what you say, that you provide like the female version and
Yeah.
then the male version of your travels.
Yeah.
And how did you like kind of figure that into like who you are as a creator? Did you just stumble into that? Did you go in knowing, be like, no, I like different things from my point of view, or like how does that look like?
So initially, when Afrostylicity started, I started out in 2016, and back then, honestly, I didn't know what I was doing. It was an outlet for me to share all my loves. And back then I had like travel, lifestyle, fashion, DIY. It was a lot. It was a lot going on. And then eventually niched down to travel and lifestyle, and really wanted to provide value in those spaces. And 1 year into Afrostylicity, that's when Hugh and I became official.
Okay.
so I twisted his arm to join in on Afrostylicity.
My arm is much better now.
Because honestly, when we met, he was so anti taking pictures. It's like,
Yeah,
why are you doing this?
don't put me in the pictures, don't put me in the videos, you know?
So anti that, and then I think we went on one trip together to DC.
Yeah, DC, right?
And yeah, I would say I think that's one of the reasons why I like DC so much. That was one of those turning points, because I think something clicked for him. He was like, "Wow, this is actually pretty cool."
Oh.
Yeah. And then I talked him into joining Afrostylicity as the male perspective, because like male, we're different. Like we view experiences different,
For sure.
different, and it's right. So getting his perspective, like how he experiences a destination or whatever type of travel adventure that we're on, and getting his perspective, and I'm always like, oh, that's right, I've actually thought of it that way, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So I think it really helps to guide whoever the reader is or the follower to make a decision as to, hey, is this something that I want to try out or not? Because we're giving them like an all-rounded perspective. So.
Yeah.
That's so
You're doing a good, a well-rounded story, right? And I remember when we were in DC, before it was DC, I wasn't really a picturesque type of guy or someone who wanted to be in the videos, but I think DC really clicked in the sense of storytelling, right? because our experience while in DC was such an amazing time that at that time we didn't really see that many people creating, publishing travel content, and we knew we wanted to travel. The reality is, well, why not become storytellers, right? Why not be somewhat of historians where people are able to kind of live through us, right? While we're telling these stories. And I think that's what really clicked for me, right? Where I just became more comfortable being on the camera or being in pictures, and the rest was history.
It is such a hard transition. I don't know if y'all are introverts, but I'm a very shy person, and being in front of the camera took some convincing. But once it's like to open so many doors, and honestly, like I love it now because we've connected with so many people in so many places, and it is hard to like overcome that hurdle. But once you get there, it's like, oh, cool, this is kind of fun, and we love the storytelling too. Like that's the best part.
Yeah. All right. I need a behind the scenes on you guys really quick because I was looking through your photos. And you have some really great like couple photos.
Yeah, how do you do that?
Yeah, how do you do that? Are you putting up a tripod and doing that? Or are you making other people come with you and take photos?
We have a little bestie. We have a little bestie. Trippy, the tripod. We have a tripod that thing. It's a game changer. It has a remote and everything.
Whoa,
so we just set it up. Yeah. It really comes in handy because you can only ask people to take pictures. Because I'm telling you, sometimes you ask, hey. Sometimes we do have to ask for people help to take pictures, but either our legs are cut off or they haven't got like the actual
the background
landmark that we're trying to get, So we figured, what, just let's invest in a few tripods and get different angles.
Oh, that's so hard to do. The tripod is like my biggest enemy. We just got a new one and it's so much nicer than our last one, but still there's like I haven't gotten over that hurdle of being okay just like setting up the tripod. Like that's my biggest like awkward point still. Working on that.
Oh well.
It is nice though. So as a duo, what does your content creation process look like when traveling? Like who does what, and how do you guys not let the work side interfere too much with how you experience a place? Like is it all work and no play, or do you go in and experience it first? That's like 3 questions in one. I'm terrible about doing that. I'm so sorry.
And who's the boss?
No. Good answer.
We have equal roles. So he was really great at he has an eye for, like, he'll look at a place and be like, you know what, hey, I have an idea for a great shot. Let's do this and this and this and this. And then I love editing so much. Like literally, that's like one of my favorite pastimes. I could just have a show going on the background, and I'm out here just editing away, and it's having the time of my life. And then we just share. We just divvy up the tasks based on our strengths. So make it work. And as far as not letting it get, if it's only work, no. If we're working with a brand, we like to, like when we land at a destination, we like to get all the work stuff out of the way as soon as possible. So, especially if they've given us a rundown of if it's a hotel, like what aspects of the property they want us to showcase, right? So we try and knock that out as fast as we can. Of course, not, we don't still provide quality work, but we try and do that at when we get there, and then we have a little time to actually truly enjoy the space, so we can actually have a story worth telling. So it's not all, we just learn to balance over it, and it's taken a while to get to that point where we can balance work and play.
We talked that you guys are very motivated by culture to travel. How do you guys decide where to travel next?
Multifactorial. I would say sometimes it depends on where we get the best flight rates. And sometimes it depends on, maybe a brand has reached out to us, or we pitched a brand and they want us to go to their destination at a certain time. So it varies.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it's someone's birthday, because we always travel on our birthdays. It's a whole, it's a whole thing. Like our birthdays are like public holidays, I would guess. I would say, yeah. Like even when we used to work,
That's the big one.
when we worked corporate, like yeah, we take the day off, like the week off.
Oh,
man.
Yeah, and travel somewhere.
nice.
Yeah.
So where are you guys going for your birthdays this year? Can I ask that? Do you guys like plan that all year? Is that like the one you look forward to or the two you look forward to?
You know, it's something that, so my birthday's coming up, so I'm actually trying to figure that out. I want to figure out where exactly we're going to go. So that's coming up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got a little one.
What was the jump like for you to like go all in on creating travel content? Like,
Yeah, because you guys both had really solid jobs.
yeah,
Is
like,
that scary?
yeah,
You're asking?
yeah.
I think it was gradual. It wasn't just like I quit my job on a Friday. I'm out.
It's probably smart.
No, it was
No.
yeah, right. It was gradual. I think once we started getting steady stream of income coming from all these different sources and where it was matching or almost matching what we were earning in the corporate space, then we took the leap because we're like, okay, so this is actually sustainable. Because bear in mind, when we started in 2016, it looked a lot different than it does now. I think back then it was, even on Instagram, it was less saturated. There are a lot of content creators now,
Oh, yeah.
which is awesome. I love seeing all the content, but with that also comes the lot more competition for brand deals. So we have to like diversify your income. You can't just be relying on these brands. So I'm grateful that we got it when we did.
Yeah.
And we were able to learn the ropes when we did, and also learn SEO. I think if I was to advise someone who's trying to get into this space now, I'd be like, you need to. And TikTok is great, Instagram is awesome, but those you should still have your primary space, which is like a blog or a website, something that you own fully,
For sure.
Yeah.
and grow that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that way you can have a sustainable source of income.
That's a good point, because you hear about people who lose their accounts for whatever reason, right? And if they don't have a solid business, right, that's their business. The reality is you need to have a solid core business, right? If it's a blog or if it's a website that lives somewhere else outside of social media, right? And then basically syndicating your content through these social media channels.
Yeah. No, we completely agree. And not many people talk about that. We should talk about that more too, because that's been a huge point for us to push the last year or so. We've been trying to grow our blog, and I mean, you know what it's like. It's like the long game. Like you put in so much work and you don't see it for months and months before Google finally finds your blog post. But I mean, that has been the biggest game changer.
Right.
Or it's going to be a game changer once it finally hits that point. But we're trying to get things back on our end, because we've been we've never lost an account, but we've had social media accounts be reported as spam enough to where they've been like suspended temporarily and stuff, where people have like marked it as adult content or something like that. We're so not those kind of people. So it happens, and it makes us fearful. But now that we are like growing our email list and our website, like we feel like we have a little bit of a.
But you hear crazy stories like that, and then that is something that a lot of creators don't talk about. You know, like a lot of, especially like YouTubers or Instagrammers or TikTokers or whoever, they'll kind of go all in on that platform, and then that's what they're all in on. And then if that platform goes under, or if it gets banned, or you know whatever happens, like you're kind of up the creek without a paddle.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's really good advice that you just gave.
Y'all are in a good spot.
Yeah, and if you're going to transition into it, don't take the leap of faith. You have to take a calculated approach, right? I think that's what really worked for us, where we knew exactly what our end goal was, and we said, all right, you know what? Let's take a calculated approach to how we transition. So yeah, for a while, we had to juggle a lot, but the juggling actually paid off, because we were able to anticipate a smooth transition to where, hey, you know what? This is actually starting to build up now. It's starting to generate enough revenue to a point where, okay, one of us can transition. Okay, now it's generated to a point where, okay, now we can both transition. Instead of just taking a leap of faith. If you take a leap of faith, well, hopefully you have enough in your savings account for X amount of years, right? On top of that, if you have any other responsibilities debt wise, whatever the case may be, you have to be prepared to go ahead and manage that monetarily. But more importantly, you got to take a well calculated approach when you're trying to really grow a business. Really.
For sure.
Yeah, you don't want to be desperate.
Oh yeah.
Because then you'll just be taking any type of
deal, right? Offer, right?
anytime
Oh, you don't want to do
comes
that.
your way.
You don't want to do that.
And you're honest is confused about what's going on there.
Yeah.
You gotta
Why
be
are
selective.
Like showcasing toilet paper, your towel water. What are you doing?
You're
So, yeah.
exactly right.
We get it.
Yeah.
We get it. The number of like Chinese battery brands we've been reached out to, I'm like, I'm not selling your battery. I'm just not.
And there's this quote by Anthony Bourdain that always like echoes through my mind. He was like he was talking about like taking a brand deal or being selective, but he was talking about being like, he's like, you don't want to be known as the toilet guy. He's like, that's the last thing you want to be known for. You know,
He's like, don't sell the diarrhea medicine. He's like, you will forever be the diarrhea medicine.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
I've always been like, Anthony knew what he was talking about. I don't want to be Pepto-Bismol girl or whatever it is.
Exactly. That's true. So always, I think, I would advise anyone who's trying to make the leap is just be smart about it. If you can hold on to your job and save as much as you can, then just do it gradually. Because there's some people who will advise you to just jump.
Such a bad.
You only live once. I'm like, no,
That's right.
you don't want to live on the street, so
You may be living not somewhere good. Yeah, that stresses me out.
Exactly.
We're planners, and so like I hear people say that, I'm like, no. There's more than one way you can travel. Like you don't have to go all in.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And people.
Actually, some people who they maintain their jobs and they find ways to tie and travel into like long weekends. Or maybe they just travel to day trips to places that are close to home.
Yeah.
And there are different ways you can like experiences. And
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We actually met another cool girl from Dallas. We had her on the podcast.
Oh yeah.
And she like house sits she works a full-time job with an airline, so she gets like to travel for free, but then she house sits. So she works remotely for the airline, and then I think that's what she does. Yeah. But anyway, it's like there's 1,000 ways to travel, and like Dallas is her hub too, because it's a major airport, and she's traveling for next to nothing.
Yeah. But if you wanted to be a content creator, your town, like people go to Dallas for conferences or vacation sometimes, or seeing family or whatever, and same thing for Chattanooga where we're from. And so like you could create travel content where you're at. You may not be as excited about it, but people are still looking for that content to like consume.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's so cute.
Yeah, there are a lot of local gems that even people who live there or have lived there for a very long time aren't aware of. And if you're able to find all these, if you want to say speakeasies or local nice spots or mom and pop restaurants that people aren't aware of, or somewhere new, some kind of new business that's amazing that people are unaware of, something totally cool. I mean, that's always some type of content that you could put out there and give people I would say an aha moment.
Yeah, no, it's great. I actually, when I was on your website recently, and I saw you guys post a really cool post about something in Texas I never would have known was in Texas, and that was something about walking llamas or something, and I just thought I never would have seen that in Texas, but that's what came to mind when you said that, like hidden gems in your area. Like, and we've been to Texas, I don't know how many times now, and I didn't know you could walk llamas somewhere in Texas.
Oh, like the Eiffel, we have the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
Got Paris, Texas.
Texas has it all. There's no reason to go to France. We got it.
There we go.
And that was one of the reasons why we did that. We have a little series that we're working on, because realistically, not everyone can afford to or is able to travel to faraway places, but they still want to experience it. So maybe someone's not able to go to Paris. Hey, Paris, Texas is right here. And we have a lot of places in Dallas that are otherworldly. You're in Dallas, but it doesn't feel like it. It feels like we're somewhere in Croatia or, so we're trying to curate a list of places like that to help travelers who want to experience that, but maybe they can't afford to travel into those places, or maybe they have little kids so they can't travel. There's different reasons. So
Nice staycation.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's so funny you guys are in Dallas because Dallas is one of those places we've always wanted to make content on, but we just didn't know where to start. So like we need to come back and do a YouTube video on Dallas because I know it's huge and it has so much, but I don't know where to start with it.
Yeah, I just like, look, I know you guys have Buc-ee's and I know that you have Torchy's tacos, you know. So
Torchy's queso is what I'm there
Torchy's
for.
queso, yeah.
I do have a question for you though,
Yeah.
because you guys were really early into the whole travel content creation. You said you started in 2016. We started like 2018, early 2019. So you guys were like years ahead of us. But you're right. It's changed, and the landscape of travel content creators has grown so much. But when you go to your profile and you go to your website, you obviously have a very specific like style, and you've managed to stand out in your niche and are continuing to grow and thrive, even though there's so much competition now. Like, how do you guys manage that? How do you yeah, I think that's my question, is how do you do that?
Well, thank you for the feedback. Appreciate that, definitely. So I think we just really narrowed down on who our target audience is, and I think that helps with the style of, the content that we share. So we do, of course, we're a couple, so couples are drawn to our company's content, right? But then we also sometimes travel. Like when I go to Utah for the Women in Travel Conference, I'm going to create some content. So that's solo travel as well, right? So I think we niche down on the types of travelers that we're targeting, and like, hey, what would they find interesting? Like how can we provide value to these groups of people? And like what resources can we bring to them by way of our blog and social media posts that can help them achieve the goal of traveling like this. So I think that's what's just narrowing down, because as I said, when I started out, I was all over the place. As I said, I was doing like travel, lifestyle, fashion, DIY, anything, any passion that I had, I was putting on the blog. But I was like, it was just too chaotic. So like niching down really helped to attract our tribe.
Yes.
You guys have done a great job.
Yeah, you really have.
This is a point to kind of like spill that they're going to be at TravelCon.
Yeah.
They're going to speak at TravelCon.
And we're going to be at TravelCon.
That's actually how we first found out about you guys, is we saw, I think we were both announced as speakers in the same day. We're like, these guys look really cool.
Yes. I'm screaming into a pillow.
So if anybody is out there and they want to get into travel content creation, TravelCon is going to be in Portland, Oregon, May 15th through 17th, 2024.
Yeah.
We're all going to be there speaking, leading sessions. So that'll be a good time. We'll link all the information down below. But I just think it's worth mentioning, you guys have a lot of insight to speak to, and you guys are going to do more of that at the conference. So
yeah.
You guys as well. Looking forward to like I've been like stalking y'all's your Instagram and your YouTube, and I'm so fascinated.
We're all over the place. You talk about you being all over the place.
Welcome to the party. Like
one day we're in a truck, one day we're all over. But so where can people find you if they want to follow along, learn more about travel, learn from you guys? Where can people find you?
So our website is the home. So www.afrostylicity.com, and then the other places, social media, so Instagram, Facebook. Yes, people still use Facebook.
Blows my mind. Yes.
We're on Pinterest as well, and YouTube. We're not very
some videos there.
Yeah, we're not very active. We're working on changing that, but yeah, primarily Instagram. If you're a social media person, Instagram for sure. If you want more detailed information, the blog. And if you subscribe to our email list, we'll get weekly updates. So all these travel deals that we discover.
Perfect.
So
especially around travel hacking.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. Well, we will link everything down below so people can find you, your email list, your website, your Instagram, everything. Facebook, if somebody's looking for Facebook, I'm sure there will be people. But you guys, thank you so much for being here. We cannot wait to meet you guys in Portland in just a few weeks.
We're looking forward to it as well. Thank you so much for having us.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to What No One Tells You with Chris and Sarah. If you have a comment or question that you want answered on the air, be sure to send us a message to hello@chrisandsarah.com, or you can call or text our phone number at 423-825-9572. Thanks for listening.